you? My name's Claire Degnan. I have known Tamika for too many years. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to age myself or her. I had solicited some quotes, and so far I've only gotten one, but it really does fit Tamika perfectly. And that is that she makes the Energizer Bunny look like a slouch. I think that is more true than can possibly be said. I met her many, many years ago. She was a young attorney who came to my office, and she had done a great deal of work and blossomed into an absolutely spectacular criminal defense attorney. In her process, and in the process of that growth, she has had an ambition to run for judge and to be judge of Mount Vernon City Court. I can't think of anyone who is better qualified, better temperament, knows the law of every distinction. She has the really tremendous character, and I mean that not in a bad way, saying that she's a character, but no, character of trustworthiness, of honor, of just the absolute classiest woman that I know. So for that purpose, I say, Tamika, good luck. I'm rooting for you. I will do everything for you that I can. I think you are spectacular. I think you should be there. And to take a page out of Janine Pirro's book, when you're on the bench, we need to get you a very deep sapphire robe. We need to get you a very deep emerald robe, and the black robe too. But then you can switch it up with whatever outfit you have underneath, all right? And I'm right there. I'll get it for you. That'll be your inauguration present for the bench. All right. I do believe I'm going to send it over to Mr. Siddiqui.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. Having already following Ms. Degnan and, of course, Mr. Boxell, I will be brief. What I'll simply say is that right now the City Court of Mount Vernon is, I would say, in desperate need of someone with certainly integrity and experience, and I can't think of anyone more qualified that will fill that role than Ms. Coverdale. I've known Tamika for several years, both before I started with the Legal Aid Society, during my tenure with the Legal Aid Society, and now, of course, in private practice. There's no one I respect more, and there is certainly no one who I think will do a better job than she will. And I can't say it any better than that. So here she is.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to our first fundraiser. Before I really get started, there are other people who are going to speak, but I did want to come up here and say a few words. I will not take up much of your time. I'd like to thank the committee to elect Tamika A. Coverdale for Mount Vernon City Court Judge. And I'd like all those on the committee to please stand. I'd also like to point out, and they probably don't know that I'm going to do this, but I have individuals here who were on my committee the last time when I ran in 2009. And I'd like to thank, they're all my sisters. I'd like to thank Corrine Bell. I'd like to thank Deborah Briston. I'd like to thank Eliana Briston. They are so busy, their schedules are so hectic. I know they support me each and every step of the way, and I thank you for attending. I decided that I wanted to run for Mount Vernon City Court, basically at the urging of my mother. My mother is sitting over here. Her name is Linda Coverdale. Yeah, we can clap for her. Anyone who knows me knows the love that I have for my mother. I constantly give my mother all due respect. She was a single mother, and there was nothing that she would not do for me. I remember my mom attending PACE, nursing school, and I was sitting in the back of the class. I was very young, but from that moment, I knew that education was so extremely important to my mom and my family, and that was instilled within me. From the time that I was 5, and I know some of you may laugh, but from the time I was 5, I knew that I wanted to be an attorney. Thurgood Marshall was my idol. And I remember when I was in law school, reading his decisions and it always put a smile on my face, even his dissents. And I said, this is a judge who really gets it. He understands the people, and not that he necessarily always, sided on the majority decision, because oftentimes he did not. He was in the dissent, but I would read those decisions, and I knew that one day I wanted to do what he did. I knew that I wanted to help people as an attorney and then one day move up to the bench. The same goes for Justice Constance Baker Mockley, who worked along with Justice Marshall at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Our treasurer, Mr. Saad Siddiqui, he and I had some time to talk before I really decided to put my hat in the race. And he said, Tamika, go for it. Do what you have to do, because I believe in you and we all believe in you. I believe in myself as well. I believe that it's important for the next judge of Mount Vernon City Court to be an actual practitioner, not someone who has just sat behind a desk and pushed papers. And the reason why I say that is because when you are a practitioner, many of us are, the attorneys in this room are actually practitioners. We understand the clients that we represent. We understand the judges. We know how to move cases along in court. As a matter of fact, a colleague said to me today in court, you know what? Every judge who sits on the bench, they should have been a practicing attorney, because then you would know how to move a case along. I say all of that because what is missing right now in Mount Vernon is respect. Respect for the individuals who come before the court, whether that be in criminal, whether that be in landlord-tenant, whether it be in civil. That respect is missing. And I bring that respect. I believe that anyone who interacts with me, I'm the same day in, day out. I don't think anyone can ever say, oh, well, Tamika acted this way one day and this way another day. And it's just my opinion that the people just deserve better. What we have right now are individuals who, I don't think they really understand the community. Mount Vernon is extremely unique. Around the county, at times we are talked about, but what I always do is I bring out the positive, and as a matter of fact, assistant district attorneys, they will sit and they will make snide remarks, and then I'll say something, and they'll say, Tamika, you always have something positive to say about your city. I said, well, if I don't, who else will? Because they see the individuals who come before them or come before the court in one manner, but I believe that it's our duty, those of us who practice in Mount Vernon, to speak positive. And everyone in here has practiced, all the attorneys have practiced in Mount Vernon at one time or another. Some of us are there more often than others, and some of us just come by and say, hello, please get me out of here so that I can go to my next court. I think that this is going to be an interesting race, an extremely interesting race. I am in for the long haul. I'm in for the fight. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a fighter. That does not mean that I am a disrespectful person in any manner, because that is not what I do. But I am there to always assist people, and I believe that when I get on the bench, people will understand that they have someone who will truly listen to them. That does not mean that the person listening to you is always going to side with what you have to say, but you will have that respect and you will be heard. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, but as I was thinking about things that I wanted to say, I thought about my grandmother. Now, my grandmother is not here with me right now. My grandmother was born in 1911 in Delaware. 1911 is how can I put it? That's an interesting year in our country's history. She was born 46 years, if my math is correct, after slavery. She was a domestic. She knew separate but equal. That was her life. My mother was the first of her children to go to desegregated school. My aunt, who is here, attended segregated schools. So I have a lot of respect for my grandmother. I carry that. And I hope this doesn't sound offensive to anyone, but I can now see that you have individuals in our society whose ancestors went from the field and the big house, and now they are going to the courthouse. And that's so extremely important to me. I want to foster that, and I just thank everyone for coming out and supporting me. And please tell all your friends to come out and vote for me who live in Mount Vernon. Thank you so very much.